Hey everyone! Today I'm going to tell you a wild story about a seriously messed up family situation. Our story starts with Rebecca. She was all set to marry her fiancé David, but just 3 weeks before the wedding, her spoiled and entitled younger sister, Jessica, dropped a bombshell. Jessica announced at a family dinner that she was pregnant with David's child. Turns out she'd been secretly sleeping with him for 6 months. Rebecca was devastated. But Jessica, being the shameless golden child, went ahead and married David in the same venue Rebecca had booked, wearing a white dress even though she was 7 months pregnant. She even tried to steal Rebecca's wedding dress and used all of Rebecca's wedding plans and vendors. But Rebecca didn't let this destroy her. She met Malik, a successful investment banker who understood her past trauma and treated her like a queen. They got married in a beautiful destination wedding in Santorini, and I was the maid of honor. A few years passed, and their parents reached out to Rebecca, begging to reconcile. Rebecca, being the bigger person, agreed. At the family dinner, Jessica, David, and their 2 kids were also there. Jessica couldn't help but make snide comments about Rebecca not being able to have children. Then, Jessica announced she was pregnant again and started taunting Rebecca, saying how lucky she was to have David and this beautiful family. That's when Malik stood up. He'd been quietly investigating David's finances for months. He announced that not only were he and Rebecca expecting twins through IVF, but he also just completed a hostile takeover of David's company. As of Monday, David would be unemployed. And that wasn't all. Malik had also found out about David's other affairs. The women had been contacted by a divorce attorney friend of Rebecca's. And because of the prenup Jessica had signed, if David was unfaithful, she'd get nothing. Jessica was about to be a single mother of 3 with no income, no house, and a cheating husband about to be served divorce. Papers by another pregnant woman. Jessica, though, thought she had a trump card. She'd been recording private conversations in Rebecca and Malik's home for 2 years, including one about the hostile takeover before it was public information, which she claimed was insider trading. She also said she had recordings of something bad Malik had done in college. She demanded Malik call off the takeover, transfer $5 million to her, or she'd send the recordings to the FBI. But Rebecca just laughed. She told Jessica that she should have checked who owned the security company that installed those cameras. Turns out, Rebecca had known about the recordings for 18 months and had been feeding Jessica exactly what she wanted her to hear. Then, Rebecca played a recording of Jessica admitting to stealing money from David's accounts, planning to frame Rebecca for crimes, and even confessing to causing Rebecca's first miscarriage 2 years ago by slipping something into her drink at a family barbecue. Jessica tried to claim the recordings were fake, but Rebecca had the originals, time-stamped and location, tagged. The family was in shock. Their parents finally realized how wrong they'd been in enabling Jessica all these years. David's phone started buzzing non-stop as the other women started posting about him on social media, and his divorce attorney called. Jessica then pulled out all the stops. She showed up at Malik's investment firm with her kids, causing a scene. She created fake social media accounts to post Rebecca's personal information. She even had the kids call Rebecca, crying and saying she hated them. All coached by Jessica. But Rebecca stayed calm, documenting everything. David's life completely fell apart. The board fired him for embezzlement, his assets were frozen, and the women he'd been seeing came forward with claims. In desperation, he went to the police and confessed to everything, offering to testify against Jessica for leniency. Child Protective Services got involved when they saw how Jessica was raising the kids, and they removed the children from her custody. Jessica then started making really erratic decisions. She pulled the kids out of school, moved into a motel, and started harassing Rebecca in every way she could. She even showed up at Rebecca's doctor's appointments. Just watching, but Rebecca fought back. She filed a police report when Jessica tried to access her medical records by posing as her. As Rebecca's pregnancy progressed, Jessica sent disturbing notes to her baby registry. But Rebecca was ready. She had evidence of all of Jessica's harassment. Jessica then tried to sell her story to a tabloid, but the journalist was more interested in her own admissions of crime on the recordings she provided. The article that came out turned everyone against Jessica. Her parents finally took action. They filed for temporary custody of Jessica's children. Jessica, in a last-ditch effort, showed up at Rebecca's house, causing a scene. The police were called and she was arrested for violating the cease and desist order. Rebecca went into early labor due to the stress, but the twins, a boy and a girl named Alexander and Nicholas, were born healthy. Jessica, from prison, continued to try and harass the family. She got a man named Klaus, whom she met through a prison pen pal website, to do her dirty work. Klaus showed up at Malik's office, the twins' daycare, and even Rebecca's backyard, taking photos and making threats. But Rebecca and her family fought back. They got restraining orders, documented everything, and finally Jessica made a mistake. She got into a fight in prison when two of her pen pal men showed up at the same time. Her male privileges were revoked, and she was placed in solitary confinement. Klaus was also arrested for stalking and violating his bail conditions. Jessica's trial for identity theft, harassment, and other charges was a slam dunk. The evidence was overwhelming, and she was sentenced to 18 months in prison and 3 years of probation, with a no-contact order against Rebecca and her family. But she continued to try and cause trouble from prison, filing frivolous lawsuits and writing a fabricated memoir. As the years passed, Jessica's behavior in prison improved only because she wanted an early release. But her true intentions were revealed in letters to our parents. As her release date approached, Rebecca and her family prepared. They upgraded security, renewed restraining orders, and made safety plans. Jessica was released and immediately violated parole. She tried to access her children's school records, drove past our parents' old house, and then showed up at Rebecca's empty house, attacking the police when they arrived. She was sentenced to 5 more years in prison. Despite all of Jessica's attempts to destroy their lives, Rebecca and her family found happiness. The children, both Rebecca's twins and Jessica's kids, were growing up loved and protected. Rebecca had chosen love and building a life, while Jessica had chosen hate and destruction. In the end, love and family won.